Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Ragucci, and here with a few friends from the Delaware County area. We get in the basement and we talk about a certain topic. Today's topic is going to be scoops.
The Bane of movie coverage. Gooch.
Thank you, Trio. That is my illustrious guest, the triple threat, Chris Trio.
Guest, Gooch. I'm a host.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
I'm done.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Sorry, guest.
Yeah, it's all right. Host.
My bad. What's going on?
Nothing, man. What's up? How you feeling? How you doing?
Good. Doing good. I feel like we're at the end of like a DNN this summer's been pretty busy for us.
Absolutely.
We've been doing like we've talked about this, but we've between the panel, we got our site updated, which we're definitely going to talk about.
Yep.
We've just been doing a lot of stuff, a lot of like just different things. I mean, like not even in terms of content. Yeah. So we did the panel, which is up and you can watch, and hopefully you have watched it.
Thank
and
you for
we thank you for that. And one of the most recent things we did, among a few other things we're going to talk about, is we finally updated our site. I don't know if we've ever talked about this on the podcast.
Well, I think it happened because I did it last week or the week before, and I don't know if we've podcast live since because we've been filming the rewind reviews. I know, which we will disclose what those are at a later date. But I don't know if we've done anything since then live.
Not podcast, no.
Yeah.
We did our podcast with Emma, which we're going to talk about.
Absolutely.
A little bit, I guess. And yeah, obviously, I don't think that was done before then. I think.
So I think it escaped us then. Yeah.
No. Actually, that might have been the Sunday before.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
because it was
okay. So you're right. You are right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have updated our website. What does that exactly mean? Mr. Trio's cousin, Jen Pickhaver, which is her married name, trio of
Trio
origin.
by blood, of course, but
of origin. She is a videographer and a photographer, and she did some photography for us. So if you go to our website, there's a bunch of new updated pictures.
Yep.
And stuff like that. A lot of that, all of that photography that was on there was from when Tim was still a part of DNN.
Absolutely.
2018.
Yeah, it was a while ago. We just hadn't had time to really, get it done.
I mean,
it's just not even at the forefront.
It's been on like the docket for maybe like 2 years.
Well, and I will admit also the website's really there, just mostly there to have an RSS feed that we can upload to.
Right.
So that's, you can go to our website. We have our contact info on there and all that good stuff. And you can actually even, if you want to, go and download the episodes directly from our RSS feed on the website. So that's the main reason for it. But, we wanted it to look nice and pretty. Jen did a fantastic job.
She did.
Took some great pictures.
Yeah.
It's looking amazing.
And now we also have some assets and stuff for when we want to promote panels and when we do that again, hopefully, and like things like that, instead of just kind of like, taking pictures for the stuff. It's like we have some
B-roll
stuff, some B-roll of us together that we can use for various things. And then, we had Emma McKelvey on, who made our table of House
Delco
of Me.
Local / the creator.
And that was we had 2 female guests in a row, Trio. I don't know.
Gooch, you really need to.
I think it's important.
We did. No, I know. That's fantastic.
We don't have a ton of female guests on, mostly because we don't have a female pool to pull from.
True. That wants to talk about these things.
Right. So we finally had the opportunity. We've been wanting to get Emma on since she did the table. That was just something like
so we
had a free month. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then we had Jess Sharnagle of Fanbite, who came on for the Final Fantasy 16 podcast, and that was good. And she's a big Final Fantasy fan.
Fantastic review, if I do say so myself.
Yes. So, it's just cool. I just want to shout out because we talked about this email, I think, on the podcast where somebody wrote in. It's like,
I'd love to see more of a female voice in here.
Basically, that was the email. It was a little longer. But
yeah, for sure. And, and absolutely, don't get me wrong. I love for us, too, a lot of the times. But it's just finding females that we know or that even seem interested to do so. So, I mean, always feel free to reach out, too.
Right, and we are... we can get virtual guests in. We've done that with Dustin and other people in the past. But it's, if you're local, it's better.
Of course, it's easier. But
so it's also like, okay, now we don't go outside of we don't go to the virtual podcast setup that often.
Are we the dying breed, Gooch, of podcasters that still do it in person? I'm trying to think of like the main podcasts I listen to. I guess most of them actually still do all, like, Sacred Symbols. They're remote. Mm-hmm. Mr. Sunday Movies. They're in the same room.
Kind of Funny. I mean, I don't really listen to Kind of Funny anymore, but they are like a hybrid.
Yeah,
of both.
yeah.
They do both.
So
and they did not before. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe we were talking about how nobody has like a table like us. So.
We're ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah, we are fucking the diamond in the needle in the haystack. We're rough, different.
Yeah, you start telling us you're podcasting. Well, we've been doing it for like 6 years to no avail. So fuck off. No, I'm not to know. It's really nice to see the bump, especially in this last year. I feel like on our viewership.
One of our most like if you're from Emma's following, I don't want to say community per se, but I guess you're from the area.
And that's amazing.
A new listen. Thank you.
Seriously,
a
it's
lot
really
of
nice.
Her podcast got a ton of views, as well as the Final Fantasy 16 one, as well as some of our Instagram posts with Emma really blew up, and there were a lot of people from her crowd kind of coming over and giving us love. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
That was awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
I love the fucking collaborator feature on Instagram. It's so cool.
It is cool.
You can just post other people's feeds. It's like, well, I did my post and it's related to you. So
it's true.
If it makes sense.
It's nice to have that option too, especially.
Yeah. And we've been posting some of Jen's photography up. We're done with those posts, but I think we did 4 in total. But yeah, that's what's been going on in terms of housekeeping for the podcast. But we did have a few questions actually come up on some podcasts that some viewers put in the comments. So I wanted to bring them up. I'm going to say TYO101 on YouTube asks, will you guys be discussing the PlayStation Portal and the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 in an upcoming podcast? Let's talk about those two things differently. Yeah. PlayStation Portal. I don't think me or Trio plans on getting that.
I don't think so either. I was definitely a lot more down on it when I first heard it, and I still am in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But it is not a thing for me. Like, I guess when you think about it from, all right, you got a DualShock controller on it, that's $70. You got a nice big screen. I don't know how much that screen will run you. I just don't see it as something I need in my place right now.
As a I want to say local. What's the word I'm looking for? Not cloud streaming. I know it's a Wi-Fi device, but there's a term. Wi-Fi streaming maybe is what I'm looking for.
I'm not the biggest like streamer person.
Like I think if you're like somebody like Colin Moriarty on Sacred Symbols was like, this is perfect for Sunday night or Sunday football. Because I'm watching football, and I think he watches like all the games, not just like the Jets that he likes them. Yeah. But like if you're like somebody who's like watching football or doing something else on your TV, and you want to like bring up a game while you're on the couch,
it's for sure
like, it
nice
works.
If you have a significant other and you want to watch a movie or something, and maybe you can play on the couch. I can see that being a big deal, and it's cool.
Right, doing
it's
something
nice
in the
big
same
screen,
room. Yeah.
But the streaming stuff still to me is
it's got a niche audience.
You
but
need a great,
not it.
Especially for the streaming, you need a great internet connection, and like if that works really well all the time, that's great. But if it doesn't, that's a problem.
Yeah, even with the Backbone, I was having some issues. So
like you can't play like real twitchy, shootery games on those.
Who knows with the Portal?
No, but for sure. But you're still going to get a latency no matter what. I'm curious just how significant it is.
Right. It's not like a Steam Deck.
No, exactly. You're not using it off the.
And it's interesting because it's like half the the Vita or the PSP, and it's like. Colin was talking about it on Sacred Symbols. It's like if you guys wanted like a PlayStation handheld, like full bore, you should have bought the Vita and supported it. And I'm like, he's not wrong. Nobody like the Vita came out and died.
Well,
man.
And it's
like it had its audience, but like it clearly did not do well on a national or market level.
Maybe if that's a thing that they released now and didn't back then, maybe it would have caught fire more, considering how much. Like handhelds have, I feel like, taken off in the last 2 years.
I mean, look at the Switch. I mean, it's half
the Switch, and then and now you got the Steam Deck, like you said, and stuff like that. So there's so many different options and ways to play. I could see that being really good for maybe big families. Maybe you're like your brother's playing, or your brother or your sister or your mom's watching TV on the couch. I want to play my PlayStation, but I don't know if I want it.
But like, is a parent gonna go out and buy that thing for their kid? Like,
maybe if they, the kid can save up now. Kids can hustle, Gooch. Kids can hustle too. No, but
it's like fucking kids hustled in high school by selling like candy.
Yeah, absolutely. In high school, I don't know. I think you could get.
There were a few kids in our high school.
Yeah, that's
who
true.
sold candy like constantly.
Yeah,
and I don't think they got in trouble for it. I'm trying to remember if anything actually happened to him. I'm not going to name his name.
Sure.
I don't think so. I think he did that, and
it was not really huge.
I think there was some skepticism, but I don't think anyone
really did anything about
nailed him for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely a specific kind of like use case thing for sure. Not for me though, and I'm curious to see how well it does. And I just don't know. Like $200 for another screen and a controller, I guess, is what you're paying. To me, that's for a streaming device. I don't know. Doesn't seem worth it.
Exactly. Yeah. So to answer your question, are we going to be besides the conversation we just had, which was the point? Probably not. I couldn't imagine unless
one of us for some reason does end up getting
it, or but I don't imagine us doing a full dedicated podcast of the PlayStation Portal.
If this was my job and I wanted and I could just buy it for like research purposes for this, maybe I think about that. Like absolutely.
So hopefully that little discussion kind of sates your appetite a little bit. But a Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, I'll make it. I've already said this in Discord like full out, so I'll say it here. We kind of figured this out during the week. We will be doing the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 per se. We are going to be doing a re-3 on Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Just that for now. We're not committing to doing the full Metal Gear series as of now. The reason being is because the rest of the series is not even out like the rest of it will be. So like if Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 has what we need to probably do a full series, we will then rebroach that conversation. But for now, we're doing 3. 1, because it's the start of the series chronologically, and 2, with the remake coming out, we just kind of have like both covered. And that'll be Trio's second foray into, if you want to call it classic Metal Gear.
Sure.
I don't know if that.
I just played 5, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you have just played 5. So you'll be seeing a story you haven't seen about, heard a little bit about in MGS5, but yeah, that'll be fun. And what's good about that is because like the Re3 started by talking about doing it with Metal Gear, and Metal Gear is just so big that would
too
be
much.
That'd be such an
be
undertaking.
Halo all over. Okay.
It'd be worse.
Even worse, no, for sure.
Especially if we did it back to back to back. Like if we did it as if like we did one game and then we took like a break, but then it would take like years.
Yeah, no,
that
would be it's just too much of a.
So
commitment.
like I think doing the first one is fun because then we get
I
to
think
talk
the only
about
way
it
we
again.
could do that is if we did that just one episode per game. That would be the only real way to do that.
Yeah, which would for some of those games would be. Yes, because like they're retrospective podcasts. They're not even like reviews. They're treated much differently. It's like we're not really reviewing it. We're just kind of talking. I mean, we are reviewing it, but it's weird. I mean, maybe we'll come to that decision, but we're not there yet.
We'll see.
Another comment from Major Fletch on YouTube. When are y'all going to talk about Baldur's Gate 3? Well, when that comment was posted, I don't think neither of us had played it.
Yeah.
It's now out on PS5. I'm playing it.
I got it on PC.
Trio Folding got it on PC.
I did fold. I folded hard.
So we have been playing it, and we're going to talk about it a little bit now. But we're definitely going to review it when, no fucking clue. There's a lot of big games out, and there's a lot of big games coming out, so it's hard to say when we're going to review
two that I'm just bouncing. Yeah.
Even Starfield, I'm like, do we just beat the camp? Like, I'm not going to like...
I think we'll talk more about that.
Right. It's just like...
It might be...
The campaign, like, is... If I beat the story, I'm down to review it, but... and it seems like the campaign is actually much more, like, doable quickly than, like, Skyrim.
Sure. Even Skyrim's, like, if you power through that main quest...
Yeah, but, like...
It's not terribly long.
I think Starfield's, from what everyone is saying, is the main story's better.
No, for sure. And I'm saying lengthwise, though. Like, I think when you do run through, like... The main quest of Skyrim, it'll probably take you like a week, maybe at the most, to really do that.
Yeah, and the same thing with like Baldur's Gate 3. I don't want to not beat it and review it. It's just like it just doesn't make sense.
And I started playing Baldur's Gate. Starfield came out, and I bought the early access like an idiot, and it took me away from it for the whole weekend. And I was just like, it's been tough trying to jump back in again now. So I need to. I might just. I didn't get terribly far. I'm level 4, but I feel like I haven't done that much yet. So I think I could.
I think I'm level 4, 2, or 3. Have you?
I'm
gonna try not to say a lot of spoilers. This probably isn't a big spoiler. Have you gone through the Goblin camp?
So I'm there.
That's where I am.
and I'm trying to find where that fucking druid is, and I can't figure it out.
Where
he said, last thing I heard about him was
there's a druid that got captured. Yes, okay, we're in the same place. I've been like going through that village like with a fucking fine tooth comb.
Yeah.
There's so many cool hidden things in the game, but
the level of interactivity with the environment is truly wild.
Yeah, I mean, as D&D players, this is a D&D game.
Yeah,
it's full through and through. Except I will admit. I'm playing on Tactician, the hardest difficulty, and I'm not scave scumming because of the difficulty. I'm save scumming because I'm still learning the game.
Sure.
And I had Gale.
I do that in all my RPGs.
I had Gale leave.
Yeah.
Because I failed checks. I don't want to miss out on. I reloaded. Why would
Gooch, you will have
the commitment level you would need to have to that to be I failed checks and because I'm like. Because I was
that would
skeptical.
be a very interesting way to play for sure.
That's how Mandel's playing.
No, and that's I saw that and
I was like, dude, that's dedication.
Save scumming. I feel like the term has really kind of risen again, but
it is a negative term. But
it's a negative. But I don't know who I save in Starfield. Do you save scum?
If you when I got to Jacob Coe, and I failed his check.
Yeah, or something, and
save scum because I'm I don't want to steal it.
I do that all and if I'm trying to steal something in Skyrim or something and I don't get it and
with Baldur's Gate 3 it feels
a little weirder.
It feels a bit more egregious.
I guess so. Yeah.
And I have to admit the game does have a learning curve, and I think I picked the game up. I'll say in 12. No. I'll say in maybe 8.5 to 9 hours I understood the game.
Sure.
Because I'm okay, there's a bandit group in a crypt early on in the game before you get to the Druid Haven. I forget what it's called. And I ran into those bandits, and I thought they were a group of adventurers. Because what's cool about this game is everyone is named. So, not everyone. Some goblins are just called goblin marksmen or whatever. But a lot of people do have names, and these bandits did. Yeah. So I was like, "Fuck!" I'm like, "God damn it!"
Did you fight them or did you lose the check? I killed them.
Yeah. Yeah, because I lost the check. But then they got a whole bunch of other people. I'm like, I feel like I was probably just gonna end up fighting all of them anyway.
I passed that check.
So what happens?
You just convince them that there's nothing inside, and
they all leave.
Not the people inside.
I think those might be. Because then I'm like, oh, look at all these fucking people inside.
But I don't know if they're connected, because that connects to a different dungeon. Actually, if you keep going further in, not to spoil any further.
No, I mean I got withers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what that
withers.
Is. Yeah.
I got withers. Too.
Yeah, and I was like. Fuck, because I was not prepared for that fight. I died 1,008,000 times. In the fight, I kept resurrecting people. I'm playing a wood half-elf bard. And I had no intention on what I was going to do when I first sat down to make a character. It took me 3 hours to make my character. I mean, it takes me...
it's so funny.
For our D&D campaigns and the one we're currently in, it takes me a few weeks to figure it out.
And that especially because you just got to really do so much on your own. You don't even have visual representations in front of you.
Right. I'm definitely making my character who's a Dragonborn monk, Gerasenes, in Baldur's Gate 3. Fucking hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm a tiefling wizard with dragon blood, gold dragon blood. So I have
how do you have gold dragon blood?
There's I don't know. It was one of the options. You could
pick
it was a subclass thing. Yeah. So I have gold scales on my face. It's actually really cool.
Yeah.
But and it gives me an acid throw or something.
So I imagine the teeth. Yeah, that's what I have as a black dragon. I'm sure. So
or not black. Then it's something different. I can't remember what the gold one is. I think it might be poison.
Okay.
But
so are the tieflings kind of treating you differently? I mean,
tieflings are treating you.
I'm not really getting treated different by them at all. But
no, the tieflings they're somewhat normal, pretty normally. Some people don't like tieflings for sure. They seem to be you're a devil, get out of here. But I do really need to go deep back into it because I just kind of got sidetracked with Starfield so much that I need to just really kind of buckle down and sit back down with it. There is just so much customization. The combat really does hinder it for me in a lot of ways.
Is it really?
It is.
What is squeaking? I think the table is.
I think it was because my arm was on it.
Yeah.
I think it's just the table rocking.
Yeah, just go ahead. Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
Fuck. What was I saying?
The combat.
The combat just I'm not a turn-based guy. I appreciate how like streamlined and simple it is, but it just really does kind of like, rightly or unrightly, it does take a notch off for me slightly, but it's still an amazingly well done
You playing on the
game.
easiest difficulty?
I'm playing on the normal one. I might switch it to the easiest one just to kind of really enjoy the story stuff, because it is so cool being able to talk with everyone, all the different checks. You do perception checks in the moment, different separate checks. I really am loving it.
The checks for like finding like treasure digs and shit like that, or like traps is really interesting
For sure.
because it's just
Or even in a moment, it'll be like you'll be talking with
your
someone.
entire party just makes checks. It's like what?
Yeah.
What's
What
going
just
on?
happened? It's like, you'll do a perception check if you're coming up on a trap, and someone will be like, "There's a trap coming up the road." I do love all the party dialogue that goes on, like the ambient stuff, and it's a great RPG in that sense, and having that like really kind of deep world, but it is small enough that I feel like it allows that. So it's really awesome. Anything else on Baldur's Gate?
Not really.
We'll talk more when we finish
we're gonna
up,
talk
of course.
more. I'm just I'm really liking it, but again, it's just like another fucking open world game. I don't know when we're gonna finish this. It's kind of overwhelming. When does Mortal Kombat 1 come out? That's
this
next.
whole year.
Are you getting that?
Probably not on release.
19th.
Yeah, definitely on September.
That's actually right when I go away. I might like order it on Amazon because I'm not gonna be home to play it. Actually, it's coming out a little bit before I leave, but like it's almost. I might just like get it on Amazon and just have it ship and then play when I get back. I'm not gonna have time.
I don't know. Maybe I will, since you're getting it and we can review it. I do like Mortal Kombat. Like, it's one of those games that I do enjoy, and I really liked the other ones especially, but it just doesn't hit that same notch that Injustice, we've talked about that, does for me.
We've talked about it a lot.
So, we'll see. I guess I'm at a 75%.
I want to get
yes.
it.
There's just so much. Like, Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty comes
dude,
out.
that comes out like a few days later while I'm away as well.
Yeah, I just don't know when I'd have time to play it.
So what's good is like I'm gonna get Mortal Kombat. We're gonna play it on PlayStation because that's where we've been playing it.
Okay, I guess
I'm telling you. Okay. That's where we played 11.
I had Injustice on Xbox.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I did
but
too.
Mortal Kombat.
We got it on PlayStation.
Okay.
Because I think you said you were getting them. We played Mortal Kombat on PlayStation.
Oh, you're right. We did. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
So fine.
I'm telling you.
If it's getting a...
And then I would get I have Cyberpunk on Xbox. So, and I also do want to like keep it, dude. And then there's fucking Alan Wake. And,
Spider-Man.
Oh my! And Alan Wake on X, dude, so much.
Dude,
There's so much.
Truly, I will say this now and stand by it. I don't think it's a very hot take. This is gonna be go down as one of the best years in video games ever.
Yeah,
it's you could have cut it off before Starfield, and I think you could have said that even then to a degree. I think you could have. There's been so much so far, but. Not maybe one of the best games and not one of the best video game years ever, but
I think
I'm sorry, man. One of them for sure, but not like the best. But like it's up there.
Probably the best, man.
Even if you cut it
off,
a lot
of high quality titles. And I was listening to something from GameSpot yesterday. They were talking about just like what we're talking about, and. So, do you think this year is packed because of all the COVID delays? Like, all the COVID delayed games are finally releasing.
I think that's absolutely part of it.
I mean, COVID delays and non-COVID delays. Like, we're just getting it. Just happened all.
Maybe there's another universe or Starfield where Starfield comes out and in time because of because COVID didn't happen. Maybe that's because, dude, imagine if Starfield came out last year, it would have owned the year.
Yeah.
And I do think that they wanted to get it out last year if they could, but they couldn't. And last year really was just a wet fart of a year.
But I kind of like those years because they give you an opportunity to kind of catch
for sure.
up
And I would love one of those years next year.
Yeah, next year. Sure. I hope nothing comes out.
Well, there was another game that just got delayed like a couple months to January because it was trying to avoid other releases.
Yes.
Alone in the Dark? Something in the Dark?
Yes, Alone in the Dark. Yeah. And that's good.
I want to watch more on that.
It would have been trounced.
Yeah, it really would have. And Alan Wake kind of did that, it seems like, which was a good idea.
Yeah, they delayed it like a few weeks.
Because people were just going to beat that right before they went to Spider-Man, so now people can marinate with it a little bit more. I'm excited, man. There's so much. Okay. Starfield, or Mortal Kombat, Cyberpunk, Spider-Man after that. Then what's next?
Alan Wake.
Alan Wake.
27th.
And then
I think November and December are pretty dead in terms
really?
of games.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's much after that. I know there was that one game. I'm trying to remember the name. It was like, remember that game they showed at E3 with like, it was like a guy and a girl, and the girl was a ghost. I forget what it's called.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, it's a Focus Entertainment game. Mm-hmm. And I was like interested in that. That's coming out in November, but it's like maybe I just won't get it. Like I have enough. Like
especially if it's not something you're like dying for. Like
I mean, it looks cool, yeah. But like I think this is just like a bad year.
Yeah. For that, anyways, for those, especially for those smaller titles, really do end up getting just kind of trounced, sadly. But I digress.
Well,
not all the time. But like a little forgotten.
I actually wasn't disagreeing with that. That wasn't what the well was for. I was transitioning. Because normally what we do with the podcast is we talk about what we're doing and playing and watching, and that's what we're going to do right now. But we obviously already talked about Baldur's Gate 3, so we're going to eliminate that from the list. You want to go first? I want to go first?
You can go first.
All right. Well, we're just talking about Alan Wake. Alan Wake Remastered. 100%ed, baby. We're done.
Love it.
Yeah, so... I was talking a little bit about that last week. It's funny how simple that game is. There's almost no gameplay mechanics in it at all besides like the third person shooting. You have your flashlight on them, they drain their shield, and you pop them. And like, you know, you're moving around an environment. The game is as a game is like absolutely like base.
For sure. And I mean, it is how old now?
Yeah.
Like it's, so you do have to take that into account.
Yeah,
of course,
and the I didn't play the 2 episodes the last time. I think I talked about it, which are like epilogues, which kind of insert the fact that Alan Wake
never played those.
is stuck in the dark presence. Like he's stuck in there, and he's been in there for like 10 years, and that's where like the second one picks up. But he's been in there.
That's American Nightmare or whatever?
No. I don't know. American Nightmare is a prequel. And I really question the fact that they didn't add it into the remaster. I was like, I guess it's not important.
Yeah, that is interesting.
You think if it was, it would have been in the remaster.
Absolutely. If they were
so the DLC is just special 1 and 2, and it's the writer and the signal. So Alan Wake is sort of like finally in contact with Thomas Zane, and Thomas Zane is helping him get out of the dark place.
Right.
And he learns about Mr. Scratch, which is like an evil version of him, like the dark presence version of him.
Yeah, like the Nega Wake, the Nega Chin.
Yeah. I understood that reference. And I think that's what Alan. So he writes the departure in Alan Wake 1. Sure. The book he writes is the departure, and now like the second game is him writing the return. Like that's what the sequel is.
I see.
So it's gonna be interesting because Alan Wake 2 is such a uplift to like everything Alan Wake is.
Well,
like it seems like it's just gonna be like, wow, this isn't like holy shit.
I feel like we don't get many sequels that have this much of a time differential.
Yeah,
like that you can like you're going from a PlayStation 3 game, an Xbox 3,
it was exclusive.
If you remember, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then they sold it for some weird reason.
I think Xbox just realized that like, I don't know, they didn't need the IP and they sold it back to Remedy.
That's interesting. I'm just
Remedy's
the corporate person in me is surprised they'd give that up.
Remedy's an Xbox studio to me.
Sure.
Like with Quantum Break too.
Definitely,
you know?
Absolutely. But you just see such a significant step up in technology and what they can do, and even the way games are created and just thought about. So I don't know. I think it can be really pretty nuts, and I'm excited.
Next up, I've been playing this all summer, and I've never talked about it. And this is the one where Trio's gonna laugh.
I can't wait.
Horizon Forbidden West. I played through New Game Plus, and I mainly what I'm talking about today is so I have all the trophies again. I had to do so on New Game Plus. There's a new currency called Champion Tokens, and essentially they're a New Game Plus currency from doing the main quests and side quests and some collectibles.
Sure.
You have to get 125 of them to get all the New Game Plus items to get the final 2 trophies.
Okay.
And it took. I played the whole game again. I had to do that on New Game Plus on Ultra Hard, which was annoying. And Ultra Hard difficulty essentially takes the enemy's life bar away, so you can't see.
Oh, so you don't know. Okay.
It's a little annoying.
Yeah.
I, as you can imagine, kind of blew through this as fast as I possibly could. And then I got to the champion. So you get 30 champions tokens from going through the main story. And so then I think about it, and I have to get 90 more by doing side quests. So I did like the easiest stuff I could and tried to like blow through as much as possible. But it was such a daunting task that I just like spaced it out a while just so to keep my sanity.
Just to not
but
go
I'm just
crazy.
like, they did the same thing with Zero Dawn. They added a new game plus and they added trophies with it. But they didn't do this currency thing. And I was just like, guys.
This sucks.
Like maybe if I was going through on easier, this would have been fine. But I'm just like, this didn't like, and maybe it's my fault. And you could say, Gooch, you should have waited to replay this game a few years later.
Sure. So it's a bit more enjoyable just on its
face.
But
then again, I don't want to play an open world game again. I really don't. You sink like 200 hours. I played Skyrim for the first time like 10, 11 years later. It took me that long to be like, I want to go back.
It's funny. Certain games like that, certain games
I'm not
do
gonna
it
be
for
like,
me.
yeah, I'll play Horizon in like 10 years. Like I just want to finish the trophies.
For sure. Like, I played Skyrim, like true full playthroughs.
Yeah, I'm like, you go back to games more often.
I definitely do, for
Yeah.
sure, because mine's more of just like, what am I feeling? What do I feel like doing right now? And I don't know what it is. Certain open world games, I think that's the mark of like a truly great open world game, in my opinion, are ones that you don't mind going back to and re-exploring time and time again. And I think, there's a lot of great examples of that. I mean, GTA, Skyrim, I can go on and on. Even certain old AC games, I think, even replaying those, I've said this before, but I replayed all the Assassin's Creeds during the Pandy, and
hate that word.
It's wild. It is wild to go back and still be like, man, this is still great. But those aren't nearly as long. Either way, I digress. It's the mark of a truly great
So
game.
I'm just kind of like, yeah. So it took me the whole summer to kind of do it. It's fine.
You got it. You did it.
You split it up. Like clearly, by the way I talk about it, it must not bother me that much if I do all this shit. You just gotta like know how to like do enough and not kill yourself doing it. And going back to Alan Wake, actually, really quick. So that was like a 2 playthrough thing for each. So I had to play the game once and then do it on Nightmare, which wasn't that bad. Do all the collectibles, and then same for each DLC, I had to do it once. And then they have these for the DLCs. They have it's like get through without dying, and it's you die like in the most goofy ass ways. So it's just tricky, if anything, not difficult. But with Forbidden West, it was just like
daunting.
My tooth to the
grindstone. Yeah.
Yeah. I also been playing Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line, which I think I brought up in our Final Fantasy 16 discussion. That is the Final Fantasy rhythm game. I beat it, quote unquote. Like I got the ending, like the credits, but like you can play through like all the song, not every song in Final Fantasy, but like the hits of each game. So it's kind of just fun to like play, and like it's like my I'm playing during work game because like I'm not playing like Skyrim or like Baldur's Gate.
What are you, Gooch? We don't play video games during work. What are you talking about? We've never done. Time. He's under the influence. He never plays video games during work. But yeah, no, it's sometimes, man, there are some certain games where you can just some good background noise.
Yeah, I do like having a side game or two. And the reason I'm kind of like I wanted to get some of these games off the plate because I'm like I don't want to have this like hanging over my head. When what we're just talking about when we're in November and I'm playing like 3 brand new games on each console, like fucking kill me.
Life's tough, guys.
And I've also been playing Final Fantasy 3, which again, like a less than 20-hour game. I'm still going through it. Really enjoying it. Much better than 2. But I haven't played this version of Final Fantasy 3. I had a DS. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like you've mentioned it before.
I don't talk about it that much.
No. I think
but the first game
tangentially I did.
Yeah, the first game I got on DS was Final Fantasy 3. It was a remaster. It was like a total remake of the game. So that was like my first classic one. So I've never played like original Final Fantasy 3, and that's kind of what I'm playing now. So it's a pretty different experience from the DS version, which has like chibi kind of characters, and it's 3D. This one is obviously the pixel remaster, so it's in a 2D style. But enjoying it. I don't think like it as much as the 3D remake because it just kind of has more story treatment to it. With 3, unlike 2, the game kind of leads you from location to location by you find somebody, you need them to do something, and they're like, oh, we need to go here, bring me here. Okay, now do this. And like you're kind of being escorted in the beginning of the game, like by other people, like around other places. And then you eventually go to another continent, and it kind of like is now like, I'm just going to tell you where to go. And you have to go like all the way across like the fucking planet and somehow find these things. I'm using a guide just to make my life a little easier because these games like really don't tell you all that much.
Sure.
And I'm like reading it and paying attention, but they're hard games that I just want to make my life a little easier. Especially with trophies, there's missables and things, but been doing that. Pentiment, I 100%.
Nice.
Did all my trophies. I actually regret going through another time right after my second playthrough because I felt like I was like rushing to get achievements, which I did. But dude, playing through Pentiment again was
very satisfying,
divine. I love that game. It's truly fantastic. And the second playthrough, I really felt like I was playing like a different version of Andreas based on like my how I was responding and my backgrounds and stuff. Fucking fantastic game. And the achievements aren't really hard. Some of them are a little weird. Like a lot of them are perk specific. So there's one that was my computer. Yeah. There's one in the remember when you're in the bar and there's a fight that starts and you remember that like the mercenary guy?
Yeah, I think so.
So you can punch him if you have the rapscallion trait, but only if you have that trait.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's interesting that it kind of like barred you behind like you have to make this choice at the beginning of the game to even be able to do this.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot like that, but like one of them is you have to dig up a body in the Kreisau Abbey cemetery, and you can ask Journo to do it, and to let him for him to be okay with you doing it, you need the logician trait or the orator one, and it's like, and it's like sometimes it's like okay, well, you need like if you're trying to be. You can still have those traits and fuck it up. You need that trait, but you have to do certain things. So it can get a little complicated if you're trying to complete it, but yeah, you got to play it again.
All right, I'll have to check it out.
You gotta play
I started
it again.
another playthrough, but I didn't really keep going with it when you mentioned it.
Started, yeah.
But I would I literally like started it and then didn't continue. So I do have to. It's one of those games I'll absolutely go back to. It's such a beautiful game too.
Yeah, dude, it's so
just great to look at.
It's so special. I'm just like God. I'm so happy this game exists. Next up is Stardew, and I'm only bringing it up because I'm stopping playing it again because of all the games that are coming out. But I have done a lot since we last played, or since we last talked about it. I caught all the fish.
Nice.
I have 2 kids now.
Oh, congrats.
I got married and have 2 kids. I cooked all the recipes, and I've shipped every item. So I am getting there to getting to the end to like finish it out. It's really just like again. Tooth to the grindstone, gotta do
It's like
stuff.
once you get like the big stuff, I feel like I kind of hit the point, my 100% completion mark
where
of like
done. Yeah,
I've just gotten everything. I feel like I really want to or can. I would love to finish off the island and stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, so that was one thing that took me a while, getting all the golden walnuts. Just look it up. And
That's what I was doing.
It's gonna make your life a lot easier because it's like you have to then like plant some stuff on the farm there, so it grow like you can only get it. Because it comes out of you harvesting the plants there. Yeah, and then you need to unlock the resort to get a few recipes. But yeah, I hope I can finish the game sooner rather than later. It is kind of getting to a point where I'm just like, yeah, I think I've had my fill with it, but I'm like, I gotta finish these trophies.
God damn it.
These achievements. I've been playing Marvel Snap. It actually came out on, well, I have always been playing Marvel Snap, but it's on PC now.
Oh, wow.
And I've been playing, there is a conquest mode, which is like, I'll call it like a laddered ranked mode, and it's sweaty as hell. And I've been playing that on PC, and it's too much of an investment to play on your phone. Games take like 3 minutes, but with Conquest, you play like possibly 6 games right in a row. So it's like, if I'm on the go, I might not have time to fucking do this.
Sure.
So,
it's nice having that, the web portal.
Yeah, like if I'm like doing something, like I can kind of have that up, or if I'm listening to a podcast, I'm like take a break from something, I'll like play that really quick. But it's cool. I like it. Again, it's free. You can jump into it. I would recommend that you check it out.
I've tried it before. It's just it didn't really keep my attention. I know it's great though.
And then my last 2 games, Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield. How much do you want to talk about Starfield?
Just let's give our first impressions, Gooch. How have you been faring through the Starfield?
I'm really enjoying it. I've hated the conversation on Twitter about it, and even in our own Discord, it's been a little bit annoying.
I don't know.
I think there's just like a lot of hate, and I like
I think there's a I've seen pretty equal amounts of weird hate and like insane defenses.
And I think the issue with the game is it is not the hook that every other Bethesda game is. It is not super epic at the beginning with the super epic thing that happens with this big, huge moment. Like, it just isn't.
Yeah.
And it takes like kind of like more than a few hours to kind of like get into it and kind of like find your own footing and figure yourself out. And the game plays like differently. Like it doesn't play like Skyrim.
It's not the same. There's a lot of exploration, but it's not in the same way as the other ones. It's not like you're going to travel east and find something in the distance.
On the first planet on Crete, I was really exploring it, trying to 100% it. I don't think that's the right way to play this game.
So that's the thing. I mean, so these absolutely.
It's not the right way to play.
I think certain settlements and areas are for sure, but I think it's more about like getting out there, finding those little things on those planets. But a lot of the planets are going to be barren, and I mean they mentioned that they're rocks. And when you're exploring them, you're running into those more procedurally generated stuff, but I think that allowed them in a way to focus on their settlements and how deep and diverse a lot of their locations are, and just I think the writing's amazing. I keep seeing people like going off about it. I don't know. Again, I think the conversation has been annoying around it. I think it's been annoying on both sides personally.
Like that main menu thing was fucking wild.
Again, I know.
Wild. Especially when I saw the main menu and I was like, this is great. This is a cool main menu.
But
like
again, I think most
the sun like eclipsing this moon.
Most reasonable people are going like, yeah, that's fine. Shut up. I think there are people who will always get off and have an audience for just pointing out the shit and the worst of it and of anything when it's fun to hate on something.
And it's not buggy. Nobody's really talking about that.
For sure. I've had some crashes for sure. Yeah, and stuff like that. But, I think it's buggy to the point of that I'm sorry, I do expect a little bit of bugginess in a game this large and a game this deep and how much is going on. I don't know, maybe some people would disagree with like how much is going on in this game and stuff like that, but I really love a lot of the elements. I love the persuasion stuff. I think the new lock picking mechanic's pretty interesting.
Dude, yeah, Digipick is really cool. I think it's a great evolution of the system.
I don't know. I think if you like these games and you like Bethesda games, I think for the most part you will like this. I think, like you're saying, the exploration's much different from how
you just have to consume it differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I'm figuring out as somebody who's like, I can't go from area to area to area on a planet and explore
because
this
they'll just keep going. They will keep being generated, and stuff is you'll run into a different mining facility that's the same mining facility and stuff like that here and there. But I've been running into just so many more little things of like, I don't know. Just for example, I was out in the middle of space, and a person. It's just a little funny thing. Person jumps in. I was like, hey, I need to hail you. Please, can you talk? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? They're like, I'm so sorry. We've just been trying to reach you about the extended warranty on your ship, and you hasn't been picking up. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Is that a perk you took?
I don't know. It might have been, but I think it was just a random encounter.
Or a trait.
And, I think there's so many little things like that are just going to continue to unfold, and interesting ideas of how the universe is set. A lot of people are upset about no aliens. I like the idea.
I think that adds such another layer to.
I think it's a different approach, and I think the idea
then it would be Mass Effect
for sure. And I think you don't see a lot of, because that seems like the most likely thing so far that we're going to run into out there, that we're not going to run into other sentient species, and I think that leaning into that and focusing more on the human side of things, and finding alien like animals almost works really well, and I don't know. I think there are definitely issues with the game and certain things I really wish were different. I think a lot of the menus are clunky, for sure.
Yeah,
and it's tough.
I would agree.
And I think there are certain elements I'm not the biggest fan of, but I've grown on a lot, especially the shipbuilding is just
really good.
It's amazing. It's so much fun. So
is the camera good in it? Not really, but the ship building.
I feel like I've gotten real used to it. I haven't found it to be that annoying.
Yeah, like when I first made my own ship, I was like very intimidated. It's intimidating, but once I got in, and friend of the show Matt Penza was like, just get in there and start doing it, and you'll be fine. And he was right.
It's a lot less. It's so funny. It pulls it up all on screen, and you're like, oh. But when you really get into it, there's not much going on. You have your 3 weapon systems. You have your fuel, your hyperdrive, and all that.
Right. Your ship tells you if you need things to actually run. Like it's like okay, like
you run a flight diagnostic report or whatever.
Yeah, like it does help you be like okay, like hey, like you have too many weapons, you got to take some off, or you're one of the things I was running into, my ship was just too fucking big.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like you don't have enough power.
Yeah, you need more power. So
yeah, so like you can't do this with that that reactor. I'm like okay,
getting the perks and stuff has been interesting to like upgrade the ship. There is a lot more perks associated with ships than I would have expected. And I feel like every playthrough you're going to just have to focus on those, which I guess...
Yeah, I'm really trying to avoid being a jack of all trades. I barely have gone into any different perks than the ones I started with besides weight training.
I've been mostly sneaky, persuasion, and weight. And then also it's been starship and stealth stuff mostly.
Yeah, so...
And also I did do geology because just to get more resources.
Yeah, so I was the space scoundrel. So I started with the pistol thing,
I'm an industrialist.
the persuasion, and piloting.
Right.
So I think I'm going to go more into the spaceship.
Again, I think that's something you'd have to do on every playthrough, like genuinely, because it's the main way of going around.
Yeah, and I'm trying to keep my combat like within its limits, and like I was thinking of like maybe I should upgrade my health because we were talking before we recording. I was playing, and I'm like I have like no health things, I can't heal. And I'm just getting like fucked up.
Yeah, weight, of course, is the one thing you always go into.
Weight's been pretty annoying.
I'm on the 3rd level of it. I have like 190 now.
I have it. It's maxed already. Yeah. I was sprinting so much over encumbered, it wasn't even funny.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's not without its faults. But at the same time, it's an overwhelmingly fun game to me that I cannot put down. And I think there's a depth of writing and quests so far that I'm just really enjoying. Just like small little things. I'm doing more talking than I'm doing shooting, and I love it.
Yeah, it's not as combat focused.
No, for sure. I
mean,
I think
Skyrim and like it's a different kind of world. Yeah. Like it's much more even civilized than like even though there are like these merc groups and spacers, it's pretty like.
Well, it's so funny. I feel like you can do
civilized.
Both. Like certain nights I am shooting a lot, and I'm going through all these different bases and things like that and taking out spacers. But other nights I'm just in New Atlantis doing weird side quests and just helping people and making money. And making money isn't very hard, which I appreciate. You do get a lot, and I appreciate that a lot. So
I spent a lot of money on my ship. I'm like broke.
I don't know. I think if you enjoyed Bethesda, any of the prior Bethesda games, I don't see how you wouldn't like this game.
Yeah, I look forward to talking about it in full.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. And that's it for games, movies, and TV shows. I finished Clone Wars Season 4. Big highlights for me were the Krell arc, which is Master Krell takes over Rex's unit. So Anakin's called back to Coruscant for some reason. But like Krell is this new Jedi that's like taking over, and he hates clones. And he's kind of just like sending these dudes out to die. And
I feel like I vaguely remember. I've watched that so long ago.
Dude, this arc is awesome because it's really about like spends a lot of time with Rex and Fives and some of the other clones that you've got to know. Like one of them dies. I'm trying to remember which one. But like, dude, love the show. There's an arc where Obi-Wan is like disguised as like a bounty hunter, and he works with like Cad Bane and a few other bounty hunters. I think Bossk is one of them. And there's like an assassination attempt on Palpatine, and it's a pretty interesting arc because like he has to like he fakes his death. That's the big thing.
Yep.
And
I remember that arc.
I'm like, this is interesting. I was like, really cool. Bo-Katan is in an episode, helmeted and unnamed. I was like, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
I was like, there she is. Yeah. First episode, season 4, episode 14. There's Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
But again, nobody says anything to her. She's just in part of Death Watch.
Yep.
And then the end of season 4 is the Ventress and Maul stuff.
Right.
Where Maul's a spider.
Yep. Where they find him and he's crazy and all that. He's force crazy.
Yes. Yeah. Savage Opress, which is a pretty interesting character. Actually, he's going to die at some point. And I don't know what actually happens to Ventress. She's like, like a bounty hunter now.
Yeah, I forget where she is in the grand scheme of things at this point.
So she, like, in going into season 5, she's just a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
She's like kind of like, it became a Night Sister. Grievous and Dooku, Night Sisters are dead. As we know, that happens in like Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah.
So they're gone.
Yeah.
And she's one of the last ones. So her and what's her name from Ahsoka? I guess. Well, actually, I don't know if Ventress is alive. And Marin.
Yeah, I think Ventress. I really don't know where she would be in the lore. Like, does she die at a certain?
I don't know.
point?
I assume she's dead. I assume she does die.
If she didn't die on screen, Gooch, she ain't dead.
But yeah, it's been fun watching that and Ahsoka together. Even though I'm like in like the timeline in a pretty
that would
way.
be interesting.
Have you watched My Adventures with Superman at all?
No, not yet.
So
I
it just
don't
finished.
have Max. I need to get it.
It just finished. It's been airing on Adult Swim, so I've been recording.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
I don't have
that's
cable,
where it airs,
so,
and then it's on Max the next day.
Interesting.
But that's been really cool. Very different. They're doing it's not like they're doing a different Superman story. They're just like approaching his origin in a much different way that I've never seen done, and it's cool.
They do seem to be taking some chances, which you can do on a show like that. And I appreciate. Yeah,
like they're doing like the Suicide Squad in a very different way. Like I don't even think it's really called. It's Task Force X. It's not even like called the Suicide Squad. But yeah, I've just it just finished. So season 1 is done. And I enjoyed it. I really like the Superman Lois relationship is kind of like once they are like going out, it's like kind of fast, like, oh, like I love you. By the end of the scene, it's like, okay, yeah. Like all right,
yeah.
but they are kind of cute. And I just the anime, like it's like a hybrid between anime and like animation.
Sure.
Like, but it's good. I would definitely check it out.
No, I've heard nothing but good things.
2 more movies. Last week I got together with my cousin Nick. We watched some movies out on the projector in his backyard by the fire, and we watched Blade Runner, which I won't talk about too much. I mean, I feel like I talk about Blade Runner. No, maybe not talk about Blade Runner a lot, but I've watched Blade Runner before. Not my first time, obviously.
Sure.
And a movie called Bloodsport. Do you know what Bloodsport is?
Is that the Vin Diesel one?
No.
That's Bloodshot. Right. Okay. What's Bloodsport again?
Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Oh, right.
And he fights in this this tournament called the Kamatage.
Carmitage, yeah.
No.
That's the thing from
Yes, it is.
Doctor Strange.
Yes, it is. The Kamate, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it is like hilarious and epic all at the same time. Like the fighting and the martial arts of it is really good, but it's just like it's like one of Van Damme's like first movies.
Oh, that's right. I've definitely heard of it for sure. Yeah.
And this is like you know what he does in it? The split punch in the nuts. I'm like, there it is.
There it is. That's it.
Johnny Cage.
Oh wait, that's where you see him. That they just showed him in Mortal Kombat. That's the outfit he's wearing in Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah. Which is very funny that I just happened to watch it. But yeah, Nick showed me that, so I was like, he's never seen Blade Runner, and I never seen that, so that's how we did it.
Oh, I like it.
So that was fun. Bloodsport was really cool. Again, like hour and a half movie, cheesy as fuck in terms of dialogue and story, but like the
80s, right?
I'm just like laughing at half of this.
Of
like
course.
I can't I'm taking it seriously, but I'm like
as much as you can.
As much as I can. But yeah, that was my lengthy list. Trio, let's go to you.
Gooch, we basically really covered everything there. I've been playing Starfield and Baldur's Gate. That's basically been it. I did a little Red Dead progress. I find all the challenges.
Oh, nice.
So on this, this playthrough
was the gambling one holding you up?
It was. So what I did this time, I did it well.
On your
so this is my fresh playthrough.
Really?
I actually have more. I'm further on my fresh playthrough now than I was on my original.
Why did you do that?
Because I wanted to start. I wanted to do a real like 100 another playthrough of Red Dead like with everything for some reason. I don't know. I just felt it. I just felt it, Gooch. And I thought, like, a lot of these are going to be easier to get mid-game instead of me just trying to sit there end-game and go around and find them and things like that. And it made it very easy to spread them all out. And the gambling one I actually got relatively easily. The last one, the 3 hits was the hard one again on the fucking blackjack. That was the one.
That's a toughie.
It just was just going back every once in a while just to see if it would hit. So I got that, but then everything else. So now I have all of that equipment. I do think I missed some gifts though, unfortunately for people, which I should have used a guide for. I just didn't think about.
It's not a.
I don't think it's part of the 100%. No. Okay, well that's good. Then I don't think that's a big deal. But yeah, basically almost everything's done. I have a few. I did all the exotics too, which I never did on my other playthrough, which I never finished. So that was a big thing. I got the cool hat at the end that he gives you. I actually thought that whole storyline was pretty funny. And I finished off the dragon, the dinosaur bones one, which I never did before either. The rock carving one I had done before. But yeah, I just need to go back in, finish off a few little things, and finish off the story.
Are you going to get all the achievements?
I might. I don't think so, though. I don't know how many of them I'm missing. I don't think it's a lot. I think it's mostly online stuff, which...
No! You have to have all the online ones.
I don't think so, because I didn't play PvP really often.
That one's a bitch.
Yeah, like I think that's truly...
Actually, it might be easy for you. Unless
it might be going...
Like, yeah, you have to get MVP 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that like while we were playing.
Honestly, maybe I did. I don't know, because we did do a few of them, but yeah, that was a lot of fun to replay. Red Dead 1... Maybe we'll get to at some point. Who knows? But yeah, good stuff. Besides that, Ahsoka, which I'll say on that is it's very good so far.
You mean Rebels season 5?
Everyone can say it's very good so far.
I love it. As somebody who's like absolutely adoring the Clone Wars, like Ahsoka is like.
Did you watch that special they put out? It was only like 8 minutes long. It really was a nothing burger kind of. They put out like this master and apprentice thing with Ahsoka on like it was like an 8-minute kind of like.
Fast cut,
and it really didn't even do.
Go fucking watch it, you dumbasses.
There's really like not much that I feel like you can't gather already from the show that they tell you. Really, like I thought they were gonna bring up Anakin more. They don't.
What?
No, they really don't. It's mostly about just explaining how she was developed.
I mean, they're fucking together.
No, I know. Well, they mentioned that of course
like all
she's
the time.
They mentioned that of course she's his apprentice and like he trained her in the same way. How they've had this kind of interesting relationship and how that's gonna be passed down to Sabine almost in a way, but. Yeah, it was fine. It was only 8 minutes long. It's a nice little primer.
So it's like the Marvel Legends things where they recap the character?
Yeah, I think so.
Exactly
I thought it was going to be more like the making of, but they usually do release those after the shows are out.
I've never watched those.
They're interesting, definitely. But anyways, that's really it for me, Gooch. We talked about Starfield, Baldur's Gate. Those are the ones I've been bouncing back and forth between. So other than that, not much. And I talked about the bear last time I was on here, right? Did I?
You brought it up today. No,
I did. I thought I did, but if I haven't, I watched the first season of The Bear on Hulu. I feel like it's not a hot take. Everyone says it's very good. It's very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
This is the chef movie, right?
Yeah, it's sort of.
Chef.
Yeah. It's like a guy, a gentleman. I forget his name. He is nicknamed the Bear. He comes back to Chicago after his brother commits suicide. Unfortunately, to take over his like failing. Shop baking shop after he's gone out and become like a 5-star chef. He's worked at these crazy restaurants and it's really good. They're only half-an-hour episodes. There's 2 seasons out right now. One of the most stressful shows I've ever watched in the way of like because it's like they're in a kitchen and shit's just going wrong. They're really good at making you feel like they're probably feeling in the kitchen when shit's going wrong and you're like they're like, get me this. I need that. Where's my chicken? Blow. And you're just sitting there like, like, I don't like this. Like, you're making me feel like this is as stressful as a job as it looks. And hey, I mean, I worked in the service industry. It's not fun, but it definitely isn't that same environment because I wasn't back like cooking the food, of course. But I would highly recommend that show if you have Hulu. Hulu is one of those, I mean, I feel like it's not crazy, but it's one of those underdog ones in the way of like, there's some great shit on there. In the way of TV shows and things like that.
Yeah, I don't really watch Hulu that much. The last thing I watched it for was Prey.
Yeah.
I have it for free.
You can buy that on 4K now. They're releasing a 4, and I think you know what I want to start doing for the rewind reviews, purchasing the 4K for the movies when I'm buying them, because they're not usually like the Prestige. I did, the only reason I didn't do it with that was because it wouldn't get here in time. I still might just buy it.
So you bought Memento?
It's $12. No, I didn't. I just kind of had this thought the other day. I was like,
I guess we just kind of revealed what we were doing. That's
all right. Well, you'll see when it comes through. It's because we're reviewing. So
yeah.
Either way, you can figure out what we're talking about there if you want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, for future rewind reviews, I think I want to purchase the films as I'm doing it.
Good I think
because I would like to. I want to build out my DVD collection more.
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't give a shit about my DVD collection like at all.
It's so funny. I like it because I don't want to have to worry about like. No, I don't know. I was just looking at shelves. Really.
No, I know.
I don't want to have to worry about if I want to watch the Batman. Is it on HBO Max or this or that?
The Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or Dune.
I have the
Dune
Dark Knight trilogy.
Like we're gonna watch that fucking 4K. We were gonna do it before.
Yeah, I know, right?
And
that sucks. So annoying.
Zaslav, Yeah.
When's it coming out?
Like February of next year, I think.
Fuck that, dude.
Just, you don't need the people. Like, anyways. That's all I've been up to, Gooch.
You think if they end the strike, do you think they'll push it back up?
Maybe, but I don't know. I don't think so, really. I feel like at this point they just keep it where it's at. But we'll see. I don't know. I hope it does. But Gooch.
Lame.
Want to get into the main topic here today?
Well, yeah, speaking of movies.
Absolutely. So, as you can see by the title of this podcast, Scoops. What's a scoop, Gooch? I kind of got it.
You have it defined in our doc, but I won't look.
Yeah.
A scoop is a sourced or unsourced rumor or tidbit of information about a film or TV show.
You're basically on, but the one thing you're missing, the important word there is exclusive. You
Really?
only get it. Like a scoop would be like, it's like Watergate is, I think, one of the,
Tricky
a
dick.
great thing. Oh, you're the only person who got this. It's hot news, and you're gonna break it.
Okay.
It wouldn't necessarily be a scoop. Like the whole point of a scoop is you're the first one to get to it.
So when a rumor comes out and it's not exclusive, like something leaks, that's not a scoop.
Sort of like so. I've kind of so
Because
I was inspired
that
by
happens
this.
a lot.
I was inspired to do this and to talk about this with you by not a friend of the podcast, but someone who I admire and I enjoy his stuff a lot. Dan Merle. He kind of did a whole video on it that I would definitely recommend checking out. And definitely
I've been watching his content because you've been posting.
He really
Discord.
does good movie stuff, and especially from like an analytical side, like where I love going to Last Stand and Sacred Symbols because of their like more like their super analytical look at video games. Dan Merle really does that for movies.
Yeah,
but he was talking about this and. He kind of said it best, I think, in the way of scoops have been kind of it like rumors, just leaks, a spoiler or otherwise. It all has now become a scoop because everyone just wants to put it out first in this era of I need clicks, and if I get this out first, I'll get more clicks. Ad revenue keeps going in, and there's just so many. I mean, how many outlets cover this stuff now?
A lot.
Yeah. And everyone's feasting to get that exclusive first look at however many fucking Marvel movies, DC movies. I mean, there's so much now, like, for people to be interested in. Even back in the day, there was leaks for, like, The Dark Knight. I remember it was funny whenever I don't know why I was looking up stuff on it. Oh, yeah, it was because of the explosion in The Dark Knight. Like, that was a big leak back in the day. The building, when he blows up the hospital. Like, that was actually, they actually demolished a building for that. And it's because it was a hospital that was going to... Well, I think it happened to coincide with one that they were going to demolish anyways. And he's like, well, can we film that and use that? And that was like a big plot leak back in the day. But, you'd have to get out on the fucking set and you'd actually get confirmation of that or something. Now, people try and source and everyone can say they've sourced it from multiple people. But I don't know. How many different fucking pieces of news do we see a week? Of just like, this person's going to be in this, that, and this.
More than I care to admit. I see a lot of like random bullshit Marvel scoops that I won't post in the Discord because I don't think they're worth the time of day. I don't like seeing these little tidbit things or like the water is wet kind of like pieces of information. I'm trying to think. Like I'm going to go to the Discord right now because there was just one recently. And I really just don't like it. And I think that's kind of why we're talking about it. Oh, Elizabeth Olsen is tired of just being known as the Scarlet Witch. Well, like, I think you could probably say that about every Marvel character who's been around for like more than 7 years.
But again, it's like that's not even like I wouldn't even necessarily put that. It's just that's just even our news cycle now in general of like any bit of news is news, and if it will get me clicks on my page, we're gonna post about it. And I think that's where
this one that Craig Mazin has written Last of Us 2. It's already fucking written, asshole. We know what it is. It's not written because you wrote it. It's already there.
Well, no, but it's written. But I get what...
But I don't like it.
I know what you're saying,
but...
It's
a scoop. It's just like, shut the fuck up.
Again, it's these things...
It's written really during a writer's strike? Okay.
For sure. Well, like...
Fucking stupid.
And that's the thing. I think it's just the big thing with these now is it's the rush towards getting that out first and just getting someone to click on it. And I think really, like... The explosion of just competing news outlets has really kind of accelerated that in a way. I mean, we have so many people vying for it, like we said. Everyone wants to get that exclusive piece of information, and then it starts this kind of chain of events where, like, you have this one article that didn't really have a source, but then you have a bunch of other articles source that article and then it like creates this like loop.
Faux source.
Yeah, that like just keeps going and going and going. And I think that happens with a lot of news articles, even not to do with the gaming industry or the movie industry. And it just really perpetuates these things to the point of like, people apparently click on them and they must do something. So I don't know. Everyone really seems to like just care and really want to, I don't know, read these articles too, because I guess they wouldn't be putting them out if they weren't getting the clicks.
Dude, they get people talking on Twitter.
Yeah. No, it's true.
They really do. Like you know, I know that I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but like that Tom Cruise Iron Man Multiverse of Madness rumor,
the amount
was insane, and it wasn't true in the slightest.
Dan talks about this in his video a little bit too. It really kind of really seemed to have picked up during the Spider-Man stuff, like back in 2020, where like
when
everyone's
Tom
like
was getting casted.
Well, no.
I like remember with like Asa Butterfield.
Yeah. Well, but I even mean with No Way Home, like with like what's going on? Are the new Spider-Men in it? Who's getting cast? Is this person gonna show up? Oh, Tobey Maguire. And you know, some of that stuff did end up being true, but like people were getting so rabid
and it
just
happened
to
with
figure
the Flash
out.
as well.
Everyone just wanted to get the information and were just vying to get that first little like real leak that would suggest that this is real. And
right.
It just starts to take on a life of its own, and you know, I think it's just accelerated to the point of like, you know, spoilers are now scoops, and I think there's a kind of notable one at the end that I brought up really kind of exemplifies that, and it's like, no, you're just ranging into spoiling things now,
right?
Like, and that's never fun either. So, and all this information is just as likely to be false as it is to be true. Like, I got it back in the day when you had to say like, I can't share my source and things like that, because most of the time things ended up seemingly being true. But now it's just like, I don't like certain people I take a little bit more in credence. Like Mr. Sunday Movies, I really appreciate. Like, he rarely ever brings up a leak, but he only will when he feels like he can super confirm it, and it's not something that's like necessarily spoilery. And if it is, they give you full forewarning about it. But most places, I just don't think that's the case anymore. And I don't know. Like, where do you think this originated from? Like, is there anything...
Marvel.
Really?
I think it's clear as day that the MCU gaining popularity and traction with all the comic book shit and the stuff we like know about, like, because they're sourcing stuff from source material. So we kind of like know what's gonna happen already. Sure. So like
and
attaching
you can extrapolate upon that. Yeah.
Right. It's just kind of like a casting choice, or knowing what the movie's gonna be about, or you know, if the comic is like actually being adapted here. Like
I feel it is funny though. I feel like
think about Harrison Ford with Brave New World. The as soon as we found out he's Thaddeus Ross, we don't really know he's Red Hulk yet.
Yeah, but you assume that.
But we can assume that. But like I feel like the snowball effect started happening, and everyone is assuming all this stuff about New World or Brave New World is the retitled name, and it's just like it's so not fun. I think it's just like all these scoops and shit. Like, I don't even remember all the stuff with like Endgame and Infinity War.
That's what I mean.
I don't remember like
this being nearly as big.
In that way. Besides like Mark Ruffalo like spoiling that like people die,
which they covered up pretty well, because I really in the moment I don't remember hearing about that much.
Yeah, Aaron Chadwick goes like, "I'm dead," and he's like, "No, I'm dead. I'm not coming back," and he's like, "No," like there were not these leaks. I'm trying to think of like characters that could have leaked. Well, like, we did not know in Endgame that they were time traveling. That never. For sure. That was never like a scoop or like something that came out that like inferred that was going to happen.
I feel like you probably could have found them back then if you really were searching in the certain corners, but now it's just become like so much. It's come so much to the forefront of things, and it's so tough to avoid
with the shows too.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, think about all this, like the Echo and Daredevil stuff we know, and we've had no official information on any of those shows. the Echo rumor that Echo was being all released at once because it was terrible. I brought that up in a I think in the Sacred Time Slot podcast, and you kind of like, you know, rolled your eyes at me, but it's just like, and the fact that I like declared that almost true. I mean, like, we really don't know if that's
what
true.
I mean. Like, that's why, and even like, dude, the amount of.
But like, what other movies have you seen?
Every year, I think No, you're okay. Star Wars, I think, is another culprit of it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with the Kathleen Kennedy stuff, man.
Yeah.
Every other month.
Brought that up plenty.
Every other month, she's getting fired. This is it. Oh, she did this. It's over.
Or the thing with Book of Boba Fett that Kathleen Kennedy
like, this
ordered Filoni and Favreau to
and
do
I'm like,
X
where
thing.
do you have any backing behind that? It's like, well, it's like, I don't believe you. I don't have any reason to believe you further than that because, and I mean the euphemistic you, obviously.
Yeah.
Because you're just, I can't believe something with zero when you're just saying it. And there's just so many people, I think, you know, I think there's a lot of YouTubers, a lot of influencers that just live off of pumping up just random shit. Like, you know how many Instagram accounts are just there that just repost just whatever Marvel news come out that just is just nothing. You don't even know like where they're getting it from.
Right, and that's what I hate. Like when, you know, I try not to post in our Discord, but when somebody does, I'm like, back the fuck up. Yeah, understand what the fuck you just posted is probably like some dumb.
I know,
rumor.
But that's fine.
I'm just like, but it makes me roll my eyes and be like, shut up.
You can still post those things now, and we can still have that conversation. Yeah, Gooch can screw off. But no, it's
I'll get mad either way.
You'll get mad either way. No, well, again, I think it's fine if someone wants to bring it into
at the rumor.
Well, like I get it because like you know we're so engrossed in this, especially too. It's so tough to avoid. Like, and I would love to have my nose my ear to the ground a little bit enough to know certain things, a fly on the wall to know a certain amount of things, but there's just so much information now that I don't trust any of it. Unless it's coming from a source and a person that I have found to have, you know, legitimate ties. Like, I remember back when Mr. Sunday Movies, he put out the thing, not spoiled, but he got a leak that Matt Damon and them were going to be in Thor 2. Like, and there was going to be this whole fake scene that ends up happening, and it ended up being true. And there have been a few different things like that. The George Clooney thing. He talked about that months in advance. He had a guy write to him and say, I saw a cut today where George Clooney gets out of the car at the end of The Flash. That was real. So, like, it's wild.
I used to watch Emergency Awesome. Do you remember him? I mean, he kind of does the same content that Screen Crush, I think, does better. That's why I watch them. But, like, Emergency Awesome used to just give all the rumors and shit a lot of, like, credence and, like, make content on them. And, like, basically was making, like, the same video maybe, like, twice a month on, like, the same piece of news that like either like just got like thrown into circulation that month. I'm like, dude, like what are we talking about? Like,
what is this?
You made this video, you've covered the same stuff. Like, why are you giving these scoops like any sort of
time of day
like and like making content on it because you know they're gonna get clicks and you know people want to watch that stuff.
It's easy.
You know that people want to see who's cast in the multiverse movie, and because like those movies really like, you know, No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, maybe even Quantum Mania in a bit, like they're all the rumors and scoops like have just gone off the rails with these movies.
Well, and that's like there was a bunch of articles after Multiverse of Madness of like, you know, things like fans are disappointed they didn't get this and like blah, and it read like people were like felt like they were promised something when like truly the companies didn't promise you anything. It was all these leaks, and you know who knows how much these studios and such feed into them and maybe use them. I do think there does become a point, like even with James Gunn, how he would respond to things. Like he realizes after a certain point, he's like, listen, like he even wrote back. I think there was a big leak that Dan talked about back when they were discussing Guardians 2, and Heroic Hollywood, I think, came out and was like, Peter Quill's father is Mar-Vell. I have 4 different sources that tell me this. They were like confident about it. And James Gunn came out and like, he's like, listen, I can't, at the end of the day, and he kind of said this even with the DC stuff now, he's like, I can't keep coming out and denying things because eventually something's going to be a half-truth or a truth or something like that.
Right.
But I emphatically deny that this is the case. His dad is not Mar-Vell. And, blah, and you know, of course, he ended up being Ego. So it's,
Yeah, I remember.
Again, these are just
I remember
as
when,
likely to
when
be
Kurt
false
Russell
as they are.
was
true,
cast.
Yeah.
We all thought he was Jason of Spartax.
Yeah,
all of us.
Yeah, it's so funny. I can't even remember that far back of like what I thought.
I remember that because we were all like, "It's Jason of Spartax. Who else is it going to be?" Because that's his father in the comics, and it wasn't the case at all.
Love that movie, but it's so funny. I forget he's in an MC. There are certain people where I'm like, oh yeah, Kurt Russell's in one. Also, fucking Michael Keaton. No big deal. Yeah, like, and I'm repeating myself, but it's just as likely to be true as it is to be false. And like, all they can do is just be like, oh well, it's our source for the most part. And certain people have a better track record than others for sure. I know, like, it's so funny. This guy actually, I worked with briefly, Humberto Gonzalez. He's the guy for
Heroic Hollywood.
I worked there with him for a little bit. Now he like works for Vulture and stuff like that. Part of me does wish Gooch back in the day that I
forgot you had that Heroic Hollywood.
And
stint.
I did. And I worked and I wrote for Movie Phone for a while. I wish I did kind of keep up with that more back then. Looking back,
that was in like high school.
I still remember
like
what happened was
college.
Remember I got into a few early screenings. I saw Skyfall early. I saw Hunger Games early. It was cool. It was.
Yeah.
I just wish I remember my laptop broke at the time and I couldn't write anymore, so I had to stop doing it.
That's what stopped you from doing it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I couldn't buy a new one. And laziness at the time probably played a factor and stuff too. I just didn't really realize maybe the opportunity I had in front of me. But either way, he's gotten a ton of stuff right. Like super. Like I actually can't commend him enough on certain things. But this one piece of news, I'm just gonna jump to it, and we'll get back to the notable scoops that turned out false. But like, just a real recent example of a scoop. Like it literally said exclusive in the title. Like it didn't spoiler tag it or anything. Was a week before Fast X was released, the Wrap spoiled that The Rock was going to be in the film. Which after
I didn't even know that actually.
Like it was, and I don't know, maybe people like there was no way to really kind of stop yourself from doing it. Like it was just like exclusive Fast X news, and you're like, okay, I'll check it out, and it just spoils the movie. Like you're just letting me know that this big surprise at the end was going to happen, and like you're treating it like an exclusive. Like that's like me going to a movie and seeing, like I saw a screening of The Flash earlier, and I was like, I have exclusive knowledge on The Flash. No, I just saw it a few days before you. Like this,
right?
It's
not exclusive.
It's not exclusive. You're just spoiling the movie for
me. Right.
So it really does get annoying when it crosses those lines into just like bullshit. And I don't know. I'm really just sick of the whole thing. There's so many different bullshit lines, or not even. Again, you can't know if they're bullshit or not. So basically, I do treat them like bullshit until I'm told otherwise for the most part now. And so many things are in flux, and especially the movie industry now with the strike and everything. God only knows what's going to happen. So, I don't know. I just think it's stupid. But, like, that is wild, right?
It is really weird. Mm-hmm. Like, when did this... Not when did this change? Like, with the spoiler stuff, I know we were...
Yeah.
We were just talking about that. When did the scoop culture kind of come to being? But, like... Yeah, I mean, like, I guess the rumors of, like, Andrew Garfield is in No Way Home is a spoiler. Even though at the time we may not realize it or act like it is sure. A spoiler.
But again, those are usually like, as long as you are tagging your articles as, like,
But, like, is any press junket or a press publication worth their salt doing that?
The Wrap did. That's with that.
Like, and that's Variety does.
Yeah, I think Vulture and stuff usually do well. Again, thankfully that doesn't seem to be the norm yet. But like there are certain things that do kind of come in, and I think if you are in those circles like we are, we're looking for those things. We're expecting those spoilers. I think where it crosses that line is when you do get into that title of like you're treating this as like that's a week before the thing comes out. You're just revealing a plot point after you saw the movie. It's not like you had someone leak out to you a month beforehand, like, oh, I've been working on Fast X,
right?
And
Ted Cord in Blue Beetle, like, you just saw the movie.
Yeah. Again, it would be different,
and you got to the
if you got that information from someone who worked on the movie 6 months ago or something like that. Right. I guess you could more and then
right. Think about it. Like nothing like that really leaked about Blue Beetle. That was like the one thing. It's like,
but again, I think that points back to what's in like what people are interested in.
Right.
And I think a lot more people are. Yeah, I think a little bit more like Marvel is now a home. it's a home name and stuff like that.
Oh my god! Actually, you know what one was great recently that I saw that I'm like, no one posts this on the Discord.
I meant to ask you to bring it. I like thought about this today. I was like, oh, I should have had Gooch like bring a few like just
the Agatha Covenant of Chaos thing. It's like, oh, we have 3 different titles, and like I was like, shut the fuck up with this dumb Agatha show. I'm gonna find it because I retweeted it, and I was like, stupid, lame, dumb. I was just like, that's
no. There are again back to the Marvel of it all. We know like there are people who are getting shows where it's like, why are you getting shows? What are we doing here?
Buy me some time.
So do you want to move on to the notable?
No, okay, yeah. So Culture Crave, they're via Variety. So I'm like, where the fuck are they getting this? The Agatha spin-off show is reportedly changing titles on purpose to suggest Agatha is up to her old trickery. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. That is not...
Be quiet.
Like Agatha, House of Darkness, Agatha, Covenant of Chaos, Agatha, Darkhold Diaries. Like, they're all like dumb titles. And that's where I said... Stupid, dumb, lame.
Stupid, dumb, lame.
I'm just like, I don't care about this show. People need to stop acting like they care about this show. You don't really care about Agatha Harkness. You don't know anything about this character. Like, really. Like,
but again, I think
shut up.
I don't think not knowing about the character is mutual. No one knew about Iron Man really before that was good. I think anything can be good until it's not. I don't care about these characters. I don't like
this
it does feel like a catch-up.
That wraps up around a character that appeared once. You don't even see that with like Miss Marvel.
We're going
on
a whole tangent here, but I guess my final thought on that is it felt like in the beginning, especially with those early ones like Moon Knight, we're getting things that really people care about and like wanted, but now they saw people were like Agatha was fun in WandaVision. Oh, she's testing well. Let's give her a show. That's not how you should be deciding who you're giving a show.
No.
And like I'm sure people like her. And listen, I like the woman who plays her. I can't remember her name.
Catherine Hahn.
Catherine Hahn. She's great, and I think she's a fantastic actor. And I thought she was awesome in WandaVision. But no, I don't care about the Agatha Covenant of Harkness or Harkness, whatever show.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the second part, Gooch, of 3. I guess this is the third part because we already covered the last one. Some notable scoops that turned out to be false. In the past couple years, especially. So February 2011, Andrew Garfield was rumored to be returning for Spider-Man. It was also rumored to introduce him as the first bisexual Peter Parker. This was by We Got This Covered, which is one of the worst culprit of these, especially back in the day. I don't think they're around as much now, but yeah, so that wasn't true, of course. I mean, he did come back, so I guess I got a 50% right, so that's somewhat interesting. And then the Multiverse of Madness cameos, the amount that we were getting... I couldn't even list them all. There was Ghost Rider, this, that, and the other. So notable ones, though, were Tom Cruise's Iron Man, as we spoke of earlier.
Yeah.
Complete and utter bullshit. He never showed up. There was one, weirdly interesting, set photo that came out of him where I guess I kind of understood the speculation.
And
but
people, I'm like, dude, and then, we knew Lashana Lynch was in the movie, right?
Yeah. Well, that was so I was looking up, rumored things for that before, articles that came out before. Some of them they nailed, some of them they didn't. But that was when you were getting closer, and people probably did just see the movie and just tell people. You know what I mean? So it's really odd. So yeah, we had Tom Cruise's Iron Man, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool was apparently supposed to show up, and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
I mean, we did kind of get parallel versions of that, meaning Patrick Stewart as Xavier
for sure. But again, if you're
fan casted, Joe Krasinski, John Krasinski as Reed Richards. We do kind of get we got versions of that, but not what was
again.
leaked.
But that just reads to me of someone just trying to throw a dart to the wall and see what sticks. You know what I mean? It's all right, they're bringing in the multiverse. Who could they possibly pick from? All right, let's look at these past movies, and you got all these guys. Yeah, obviously. This was another big one I remember at the time was Henry Cavill was going to be at Comic-Con 2022.
Yeah, I remember that. That was post-Snyder Cut, and I think there were rumors that, the Snyderverse was coming back, which, I'll say I was invested in, to say the least. But yeah, I don't even think there was, he wasn't there at all, right?
He was still on the. Supposedly he got sick, but again, I think it was just complete.
Right? Yeah, he got sick.
Supposedly that's the reason he wasn't there.
I remember that.
Who even knows? I remember. Yeah, that was a big thing at the moment. And then this was one I missed last year, but was like apparently everywhere on like the like, oh, I can't believe Disney's doing this boards. Supposedly there was a leak where an element of the new Indiana Jones was going to see Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, what was her name again? His goddaughter, go back in time and accidentally kill Indy early on and then take over all of his ventures and like replace him in like his old movies. Like truly,
I kind of see where that spins from.
I don't. They travel back. Spoiler: they travel to fucking Rome. Time travel to Rome. I could see the time travel element, sort of,
but like just something getting totally spun out of nothing.
That just sounds like someone who heard the time travel element and then just made up everything else. Like,
right.
Again, it's just
they heard one thing and then really turned it into something it wasn't.
Just who knows? Could have outright lied or like truly believed that they thought that was going to happen, but like people were like melting down over that. Apparently, this was another big one I reveal. This is early on that I remember at the time, and I think there was a lot of leaks and such even during this time for Batman vs Superman. Was Jenna Malone's secret role, in Batman vs Superman?
I remember that.
This was really everyone. They're like, what if she's like she's Carrie Kelly?
It was before the movie came out, right?
Yeah, no.
And it ended up Jenna Malone plays like a scientist who analyzes the bullet from Nairobi, Kenya, when her journal gets
completely
shot.
Nobody.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah, everyone was like, "Oh, Batgirl works at like she." Yeah. Everyone thought it was she was playing Barbara Gordon
or Carrie Kelly. I think I saw too was a bunch. Yeah, like she was gonna be
glasses.
Batgirl. Yeah, it was again zero basis, and that movie was one thing because that was done for like a year before they put it out. I'm pretty confident it got delayed. Because I remember they showed us the first look that year.
I remember. Before. Yeah. We saw that trailer.
Oh, and when we were young, fresh minds, before all the Snyderverse catastrophe. Not because of Snyder, just because you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that was a big one I remembered back in the day. I remember that being pulled up, and I was like, Jesus. And then this was just another random one I just remember hearing about all the time was the Nightwing movie. It was just, it's happening, it's not, it's happening, it's not.
Whedon.
And I feel like that was just going on and on for just a bunch of different movies. Like maybe a Bane movie, maybe this movie.
Was it after BVS?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was after Justice League, even, truthfully. So I don't know.
I mean, I think that is a through line that, like, if you look back at probably some of our podcasts over the years, we've talked at length about all these rumors and scoops that have happened with DC in general, like about random projects that never ended up happening at all.
And it's just they just came from
Gotham City
nowhere.
Sirens. Yeah, it was one of them. The Nightwing movie was another. I'm trying to think of the others. Yeah,
there's just so many that you can go down. It's truly wild, and I don't know. That's it though, Gooch.
It does suck.
Yeah, because you just don't know, and I guess that's good in a way of like you don't know what's coming.
How does it end?
The movie industry collapse. No, I don't know.
I mean, we're kind of saying it
in a certain way. Yeah, I don't know. I think fans are becoming a lot less accepting of shit in certain ways. It was fun to watch the Corridor Crews breakdown of the Flash stuff in the way of like. I didn't realize the lead CGI director came out, or like one of the guys who came out and worked on it. He's like, yeah, listen, we didn't have enough time. And like, guess what? They'll feed you this because they think you'll eat it. And I think the backlash to that movie and the CGI in it is ultimately, it sucks that it had to happen to The Flash, because I think overall I did enjoy that movie and most of that movie. But I think it's a good thing ultimately, because people were like, no, we aren't taking the shit anymore. We won't accept this next time. And guess what? They really fucking said it with The Flash. It's like that
and
movie
and Blue Beetle.
And Blue that one was not good, and they still definitely lost a lot of money on that, but not in the same way they did with The Flash.
But like I guess even Marvel with Quantumania. What? And
it's true,
we're
but
not
like
in that camp, but like
for sure.
That movie reviewed fairly negatively and didn't make a lot of money.
No, it didn't. Don't get me wrong, it's not nearly to the same degree as The Flash, but yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but it like I kind of hope the comic book movie fan base does turn on them, because we have to.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you know, it's happening quicker with DC, it is happening with
And
Marvel.
I do think that's unfortunately DC.
And it's happening with Star Wars as well.
Well, it's funny. I feel like Star Wars is almost back on the upswing now in a weird way of like with Andor.
I think there are people who dislike Ahsoka.
Oh, for sure. But I think overwhelmingly, I'm seeing like, at least me in my circles, I'm seeing positive reactions to Ahsoka, and especially for Andor. I think it's definitely better.
But Andor
than
was a show on the DL. You know,
no,
people
for sure.
like that show, but I don't think people are talking about how.
But I still think it's an amazingly good show of quality for Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like these last couple have been hit or miss for people, and maybe more miss than So
this is way off, actually. Maybe not. I mean, this is kind of goes. Actually, this does really go into this conversation because this whole show has tanked because of scoops and rumors and official news, things that started as scoops. I still haven't watched Witcher season 3.
So true. It's so true. Yeah, like it really did take the.
We're definitely not reviewing it.
It took the wind out of myself for that to watch.
Yeah,
I'm like, this
all
is just
that information. Yeah, like I definitely want to watch it. I'm definitely going to
at some point.
I'm just doing it on my own volition, not because it just decided to drop.
Yeah.
You know, like that is also another whole thing. It's just like
we could do a whole that would be an interesting podcast.
Of like, you could say this about games. It's like I feel like I am forced to consume things out of fear of FOMO.
Definitely.
Like just not being in the conversation or not
being
being in the moment. Like I'm almost too intrinsically.
This is one of the things I even like
in the the video game shitter.
To bring it back to the TV time slot, I think that's one of the things that work about having a show premiere at 9 p.m. at night, where everyone can kind of enjoy it.
I feel like somebody at fucking Disney like listened to our Ahsoka thing and like kind of like we gave them an inch. Not that they gave an inch. They were like. We're not doing it at midnight. We're doing it at Tuesday at 9 o'clock.
I mean, just thinking about it, like it just makes so much more sense because it comes out at midnight. I'm at work all day the next day. Everyone's talking, or you're at work, whatever. Like you don't have the chance to watch it. You have to avoid everything. No, 9 o'clock. I can sit down and watch it as soon as I want. It just makes the most sense. And I think that does like that FOMO in general with a lot of things. I totally understand for sure. But Gooch, anything else?
I think that wraps it up. Yeah, I think my last comment is I just maybe this strike will do something about this.
Maybe. I think
I don't really know what I mean.
It has to come in that way or what exactly.
I don't think it does actually. I think this was
for sure.
Like it seems
it sucks on the level that people have to lose their houses and stuff.
It seems like realistically this was a long time coming.
No, for sure.
It seems.
Well, and I think the AI stuff is truly the major.
The straw.
Yeah, the straw that broke the camel's back and. Really is just like making people focus up and rightly so. Listen, there is this whole weird thing with like I think from certain sects of people where like fuck these actors, they get to do this joke job. Who cares if they don't get paid well? And like who cares about AI like taking over their jobs? And like if that's really your thought process and you think movies suck now,
just wait.
Well, yeah, like hold up. Yeah. Like it's not gonna get better when they start to like maybe if you train them only on Christopher Nolan movies, I don't know. Maybe we'd get some really good movies, but I don't know. A majority of those actors don't make much money at all, and they deserve a fair deal, and they definitely deserve to not have their likeness scanned.
And maybe if we're paying writers some, maybe not top dollar, but like a good salary, maybe they'll write better stuff, and we won't be complaining about writing.
Well, and I don't even think it's like I don't necessarily. Sometimes I
will.
Dude,
money is a motivator.
Money's a motivator, but in the way of like, I don't even think it's necessarily money, but it's time. Like it's like I think that's the major thing.
If I had enough time and I was getting paid enough money,
I mean that's the goal, for every job.
Right. Yeah, but like I'd probably do a better job.
Absolutely.
If I got a raise at
100%.
work, I would probably just like if I got a really nice raise at work, I would probably just work harder. For the fact that I just got paid more.
For sure.
Right? Because it's just like, hey, we're seeing what you're doing. Here's more money.
In theory, that's the
idea.
Hopefully
you do work harder. Right.
Absolutely.
Right, and better.
I hope it changes too. Right now, it's tough to see, but I think it's just a problem with news in general too, man. The most sensational headline gets the clicks, no matter if it's true or false.
Right.
So I think that's just something we can take away from journalism, sadly, in general, if you want to call this journalism. movie journalism. But
I think it kind of falls in the same discussion as like video game journalism, which is it. And you know,
which again is I
video
think,
game journalism is also in a weird position right now.
I mean, most people don't. I mean, I think that's a whole nother conversation in the way of like most really into it gamers don't give a shit about what Polygon or something says for the most part.
Well, I think a lot of people are speaking like I think it's very clear like Polygon and Kotaku are not long for this world
for sure.
Yeah,
but that's another podcast. Guys, Gooch, thank you all so much for hanging with us today. We really appreciate your time. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network. We also stream these live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network. We appreciate you all. If you're here right now, you're the best. I did this out of order, and now I just screwed myself up. Socials, podcasts can be found anywhere they're found. Discord links down below. All that good stuff. Please come hang with us. You can find all this information on our website, DelcoNerdNetwork.com. You can even email us, DelcoNerds@gmail.com. We'd be happy to get back to you. If you can like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend about us. It really goes a long way. We really appreciate you. Any newcomers, thank you so much for joining us. We love to have you. And, you know, let your friends know. Maybe even trick them into watching us. I don't care. As long as they watch, it'll be a lot of fun. They say we're going to watch a cool podcast tonight, and maybe they like it. Either way, for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and we will see you next time.